Alrighty, so this is We the People News. Okay, not attorney, not giving you legal advice. Okay, educational purposes only. Never look straight forward. Always look around you. Be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. All right. Always use your Second Amendment rights and arm yourself with knowledge. Okay. And that being said, I figured since we're doing some of these court cases on some of my videos, right? Um, we got to fully understand the jurisdiction issues when people challenge them, and you guys hear these attorneys saying that we don't never challenge jurisdiction and all that. So I thought, well, I'll do this video of giving you guys some cases that obviously this other guy did all the work for me, right? But it'll come out where you can actually research the case itself and instead of hearsay, investigate it yourself and proceed forward on it. But you're going to hear on the next couple of videos of his court case challenge jurisdiction of the courts. Okay? And everybody's thinking this sovereign citizen. Alright? So let's check this out. What did I do? Alright, let's down the ground.
So a jurisdiction where a court failed to observe safeguards, it amounts to a denial of due process of law, and the court is deprived of juris. Okay,
it just, and I already had to pause it, right? Here in Texas, they're violating the due process. They're ignoring the criminal codes 14, 15, and 16, right? Once you're arrested with or without a warrant, 14 and 15, right? They must take you directly to the magistrate before jail. And they're ignoring it. So they actually, according to this case right here, they don't have jurisdiction. That's number one issue here in Texas. You got to check out your own state, investigate yourselves, because, I had to research this stuff on my own as well. All right, this is how I know they are ignoring the criminal codes. It's because I had to read it and find out why. And then I found a couple other videos that matched my research.
Subject matter jurisdiction. When they deny due process, they lose subject matter jurisdiction. So really, challenging in personam jurisdiction is a diversion. Okay, so you don't challenge in personam jurisdiction. You can sit there and say I'm not a corporation and all that stuff. You're essentially challenging in personam jurisdiction, but really the real solution is to challenge the subject matter jurisdiction, because they're denying due process, and you got to recognize when they deny due process. They do it all the time. It's like they can't do anything without denying due process, but I think also they do it on purpose, because then what happens is you consented. You're supposed to know the law, and you consented by letting us deny you due process. And so, again, we have to understand.
And on my previous videos, of course, I got new subscribers now, right? You are in silence and acquiescence, and you tacitly agreed to their terms, right? So there's that as well, which basically is you consented. You didn't invoke your rights of due process.
And when they're denying due process. Not every action by any judge is an exercise of his judicial function. It is not a judicial function for a judge to commit an intentional tort, even though the tort occurs in the courthouse. When a judge acts as a trespasser of the law, when a judge does not follow the law, when the judge loses subject matter jurisdiction, and the judge's orders are void.
Again, sit and think about that, right? Here in Texas, Criminal Code 14, 15, and 16, right? He just trespassed upon you, which when they talk about trespass in this standard, y'all, they're talking about the common law trespass. Judges can trespass you by common law. Cops can trespass you by by common law. So a lot of these things is a common law trespass itself, right? When the courts charge you to go get remedy from a harm that's been done to you, and they say, well, you're going to have to pay us $400 to get this remedy, that's battery by common law. They just committed battery because we have a right to access the court to get remedy. You know, McDonald's, Burger King, it's a privilege. They're corporations. It's a privilege. They must pay the courts to get remedy on their suit. But as men and women, we have a right to access our court, not the judge's court, not the courts, not the attorney courts. It's the people's courts. And this is what we're like of knowledge, right? Our political power of being one of the people, instructing them.
No legal force or effect. Okay, so again, if he's masquerading, if he's a military commissioner, then he's not a judge. Okay, and so it's a denial of due process right off the bat. Okay, because he's not neutral or unbiased. I mean, there's all sorts of things. When they deny due process, they lose subject matter jurisdiction. Subject matter jurisdiction can be challenged at any time, even on appeal. You can challenge subject matter jurisdiction on appeal. And the reason is because it's a void judgment. Watch my video about void judgments. Once jurisdiction is challenged, everything stops until jurisdiction is proven. Defense.
Right there, right? So when you guys watch the other video coming out with Kirk, well, and keep this in mind, what are these judges doing when he challenged the jurisdiction, right? By the way, it's not the judge's responsibility of subject matter jurisdiction or any of the jurisdictions. It's the plaintiff, right? It's that prosecutor or who's ever making a claim of some type of wrongdoing that you may or may not done, right? The plaintiff, okay? So the plaintiff has got the burden of proof of the subject matter jurisdiction. The prosecutor has got the burden of proof to provide the courts has got subject matter jurisdiction. But everybody is asking the judge. Well, no, you don't ask the judge. Now you can ask the judge, did the prosecutor give evidence that it's got subject matter jurisdiction? But you don't ask the courts if they have subject matter jurisdiction.
The lack of subject matter jurisdiction over the subject matter may be raised at any time, even on appeal. Jurisdiction can be challenged at any time, and jurisdiction, once challenged, cannot be assumed and must be decided.
Right there, you talked about 1,000 times. I said they must tell you. They must tell you. This is one of the court cases basically saying, in short, you got to let them know how you have jurisdictions been brought up. It's challenge of jurisdiction. So you need to be clearly established how you have any jurisdiction in said case. When you ask them, they don't get to sit there and ignore you, which they are doing. Or they just say, oh, just because I'm a judge, or just because I'm a magistrate, just because you're in a town.
Once challenged, jurisdiction cannot be assumed. It must be proved to exist. However late this objection to jurisdiction has been made or may be made in any cause in an inferior or appellate court of the United States, it must be considered and decided before any court can move one further step in the cause, as any movements is necessarily the exercise of jurisdiction. That's U.S. Supreme Court. Where jurisdiction...
So even when he said it's the U.S. Supreme Court, their higher up judge is letting them know the underlinked judges must obey them to go through this correct process so innocent people are not put in jail or prisoned.
Contested, the burden of establishing it rests upon the plaintiff. The burden of proving jurisdiction rests upon the party asserting it. So that means the prosecutor. he has to prove jurisdiction. The judge cannot decide jurisdiction. The burden is on the prosecutor to prove jurisdiction. The court cannot give itself jurisdiction. Proceeding without jurisdiction is not something that is considered discretionary. It's not discretionary for them to do that. There's a lot of things that are discretionary, but that is not one of them.
Right there, right? And that's also in the civil matter, the plaintiff, right? Anything is supposed to have standing is jurisdiction. They have to have standing.
The principle as old as the law is that the proceeding of a court without jurisdiction are a nullity, and its judgments therein are without effect either on person or property. So that's that.
So then think about that, y'all. Person or property. Your car is a property. Your land is a property. They keep saying, well, cartage of your house. Well, they're not allowed to trespass upon your property either. When it says thou shalt not, well, you know, private property do not enter, what all some of these judges saying, well, no, they can. No, they can't.
Really, the judgment or these habeas corpuses that I do for people and to get them out of jail is it's a void judgment. Okay, and on top of that, it's not discretionary for the court to deny the habeas corpus when it is a void judgment. And actually, this friend of mine that I'm trying to currently working on getting him out of jail, the guy that was practicing medicine without a license, or claimed that he was practicing medicine allegedly. Anyways, the judge dismissed, or at least the word we got. We haven't got somebody called up to court, and the court told that somebody that the case had been dismissed for failing to exhaust his state remedies, and I don't think that's a valid reason, and so we can appeal it. But the problem is that once you appeal it, the decision for the Texas Supreme Court will come down anyway, so it'll be a moot discussion. But that's what I'm going to tell that guy is we can appeal that decision, but let's wait until we get it in writing. They haven't even given us anything. This is all hearsay at this point. You see what I'm saying? So. Anyways, let's keep going. A departure by a court from those recognized and established requirements of law, however close apparent adherence to mere form in the methods of procedure which has the effect of depriving one of a constitutional right, is an excess of jurisdiction. You need to understand